Hello, I'm Nicole Michelle, founder and femininity influencer for the Inner Beauty Movement. Thank you for another installment of this series. Thank you for joining me on this live and this rebroadcast. Um, I want you to check out my website, theinnerbeautymovement.org, if you haven't already checked it out. My book is also available on Amazon. The Inner Beauty Movement presents From Hello to I Do. And if you're interested in learning about the courses and the monthly membership, go ahead and look below. All my links are down below. How to follow me on social media. All of my links and contact information are below. Also, if you're interested in checking out my Patreon and being a part of exclusive content, make sure you check below for that. And also, if you're interested in one-on-one counseling and coaching, I do both, and consulting, I do all three. So just look at the link, the email below, and contact me for my hourly rates. Also, I want to give a special shout out to the Feminine Elite. As always, those ladies are beautiful and elegant and intelligent. Thank you so much for your love and support. I always want to give a shout out to the defense team. Those fellas are on point and thorough. They always give good contributions to conversations that we have in that private group. It is a very good space, and we have some great conversations between men and women in there. So thank you so much to those guys there. Thank you to the Patreons who have invested on a monthly basis to the progression of this movement. I appreciate you. You all are the wind beneath my wings. And it's because of you and your support that helps me keep going and to consistently put out content. And I want to always give you all the best, and I want to always make sure that the content that you get from me is quality. I'm looking at this. Don't freak out about the dark screen. I'm here. There seems to be a glitch with the GIF, so don't even worry about that. It should be fine on the replay. And if not, it'll be fine. It's a YouTube thing. Don't worry. Don't trouble yourself. I'm still here. Okay. But today we're going to be talking about narcissism and surviving narcissism in relationships. I'm doing a survival series. I don't know how long it's going to go. It's just topics that I felt in my heart needed to be addressed. And this is inspired by my women's healing group on Facebook. They gave me some topics they wanted me to talk about and help them out. I figured these topics would actually benefit the world, not just the women in the healing group, but the world, men and women. I think as people file into this and listen to this, they are going to benefit from this. And so we'll see. Narcissism is one of those things that if you are a narcissist, you don't realize you're a narcissist. And I've talked in great deal about narcissism. I've kind of hit on it, but this particular broadcast is going to be strictly focused on dissecting narcissism. And I believe that it contributes to the demise of many relationships. People who they are self-absorbed and kind of low self-esteem, and we're going to talk about all of that, kind of break that down. They may not realize it, but when they get in relationships, it actually it is borderline abuse to the other person. And the other person is like, what did I get involved in? What just happened? Why is this like this? Why do I feel this way when I'm with this person? Why do I feel like a totally different person when I talk to this person versus when I talk to these other people? And then they start to internalize their emotions, like, oh my God, I'm the most horrible person with them. I must be changing. It must be me. And it's really, you're involved with the narcissist. And it's after you leave that relationship or after you get out of the presence of that narcissistic boss or narcissistic person you're in a relationship with, that's when you come to realize, okay, I was with a narcissist. Some people never get it. Some people don't get that they are the one that's a narcissist. And then, God forbid, there's two narcissists in a relationship. Now you're talking about pure comedy, right? Right. And so it could be very, very frustrating. If you have questions for me, I have my iPad right here, so I will be looking down and checking this out and reading your questions as I go along. um if you do a super chat, I will definitely address your question on air, if you don't mind, and your comment online. Um, Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the trolls. I appreciate you for helping me in the YouTube algorithms. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love and the dedication you have to trolling me and leaving negative comments. That takes a lot of energy and focus. Like, if you could channel that focus on yourself, you could actually be successful. So I appreciate the trolls, because you actually let me know how important I am in your world, because you took time out to come be negative. That takes a lot of energy. So thank you for reinforcing my confidence there. But let's talk about narcissism. All right, narcissist. Let me move this so I can see. All right, shout out to my mods. Thank you so much. Devin and Gabe, thank you so much. Mr. Alpha, I am Alpha. Thank you so much. This one's gonna be a short show. It shouldn't be long. I just want to help you guys identify narcissists, because it's either you or you're dealing with narcissists. So by the end of this program, you should be able to effectively decide which one it is. Is it you or is it them? Because I assure you, if you're chronically single, it's probably you. And if you have been with somebody for a while and you guys seem to have constant bickering, constant friction, this is going to help you. Now, let me break down traditional sense when I'm talking about relationships. All right. In the context of relationships, men and women have to decide, are they going to be masculine energy or feminine energy? It's not just for women. Men have to decide, are you going to be beta male or alpha on some level? You got, on some subconscious level, you have to decide which lane you're going to be in, because that determines how people treat you. That determines where you fit in their life. It determines how you perceive. It determines your path in life. It really does. An alpha man is going to take a different path than a beta, and so will a masculine energy woman is going to take a different path than a feminine woman. Right? Going in the same path, but it's going to be different experiences. They're going to perceive things totally different based on their attitude, right? So feminine women, we perceive things emotional first, and then we filters through our emotions, and then we apply logic. Men apply logic first and then filter it through, and then down the line there comes the emotions, right? That's the difference in the sexes. Now, when a woman has both, where she's logic and feminine all the time, well, she's logic and emotional all the time, she's a narcissist, right? A narcissist is a person who doesn't choose, right? They just both all over the place, or whenever the mood hits them, or whatever the situation, they're situational, right? They don't pick their lane, right? They choose to be feminine when it's convenient, and they choose to be masculine energy when it's convenient. We all know masculine energy women. I broke that down pretty much yesterday, but mostly in the workplace. But it the same, it applies. It's the same. When a woman has both qualities and it's even, and they don't lead with feminine, they don't lead with emotions, typically they are narcissistic, right? And same with men, right? Everybody has feminine qualities and a little bit of masculine qualities, right? It is when we decide, make a conscious decision in our life, because we have to, unfortunately, because our society forces us to be out of sync with who we really are, what we're born to be, feminine and masculine, right? So we have to consciously make a decision. I'm going to be feminine or masculine, unfortunately. And that's a hard road to travel because some of us have been narcissistic most of our lives, or we've been one or the other, or switch, flip flopped. All right. So men have to do the same thing, fellas. You have to do the same thing. You can't be, I'm gonna let her lead because she fine. No, you are the leader. Period. If that's what you want to be, then you must be masculine. You can't switch. You can't be situational. Oh, when I see her making a decision, that I don't like, now I want my control back. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to. Are you going to be the leader or not? Are you going to make decisions for the team, for the betterment of the team? Will you have the final say? Will you provide and protect? These are characteristics of masculine men. Is that something you want to do? If not, then don't get upset with the title of beta male, because that's what you are. You can't be both, because if you're situational, you're narcissist. Okay, that is something we have to do. What happens in relationships is you have four energies. You have the woman who's masculine and feminine when she feels like it, and then we have men who are masculine and beta or feminine energy when they feel like it. And when you got four energies going on, it doesn't work. Now, I know what you're saying. I have to be masculine energy at work. No problem. Understand that. That's the majority of women in the world. And here's the thing, you got to learn how to balance. And I'll be doing other videos, probably a ladylike lesson, recorded content, to help you guys learn how to balance between work and home. It's a must, especially if you plan to stay in corporate America. You have to learn how to balance work and home. You've got to learn how to turn that switch. Many women can't. They spend the majority of their youth trying to figure out how to switch, and they never do. They have failed marriages, failed relationships, because they do not know how to turn that masculine energy off, right? It takes a lot of work. It's actually more work than actually being a feminine wife at home. And this is not a beat up. It's just saying you're going to be challenged, sis. If you decide to stay in corporate America, just understand you have to make a concerted effort to say, I'm going to be feminine when I leave work. And that takes work, sis. That's not anyone beating up on you, or I'm just telling you it's a challenge. I've been there and I've done that. I know I'm not coming from a place of superiority and condescending. I've been there. I know how difficult it can be to work 8, 9, 10 hours a day and then have to come home to see a husband and children. I understand the stress of it all. And I understand the contrast in working and staying at home. I had more energy and time when I was at home. Now, for those of you who are going to stay in corporate America, you've got to make the decision, right? You just have to. If you plan to have successful relationships. Now, if you plan to stay alone, do what you do. But if you want a masculine energy man, which most women who come to my movement, who are attracted to my movement, they love when I talk about men providing and protecting, and they love when I talk about, men don't need to be dusty, men need to lead. Oh, they love that kind of stuff. But when I flip it and I say, now you have to be feminine, then all of a sudden, oh my God, Nicole's the worst. She's the spawn of Satan. Oh my God, she's horrible for saying I need to be submissive. I need to be feminine. That's the trade-off, right? Everything in life, there's a trade-off you have to do, right? You in order to catch that energy and maintain it, you have got to be what he wants long term. This isn't just about getting a man. This is about understanding yourself. Narcissistic people have a hard time in the workplace. They have a hard time in business. They just do. Now, if you're a narcissist with a lot of power, like say our president, you can get away with that on, in certain situations. People respect that because you have a level of power or influence or authority that they cannot challenge, but you get on people's nerves, right? Narcissistic people get on people's nerves. People love them because they're related to them or married to them. But at the end of the day, you're a pest. Like you're not likable, right? People want to like you, but you're annoying. And so we're going to talk about that. Yeah, I'm going to talk about, yes, we are unapologetically feminine in this movement. I want to talk about balancing work and home, because a lot of women are in the workplace and they listen to my videos and they get, in their feelings. Oh my God, I still work. I must be masculine. No, dear, you're not masculine. Um, unless you remain in that energy after you clock out or leave work, then you're masculine energy, right? You know when you're feminine, your energy just feels so fluid and so soft and so welcoming, and that's the energy that attracts people to you. Is a very charismatic energy. It attracts masculine men. The men you attract in your feminine energy are a lot different than the men you attract in your masculine energy. And I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face, but I'll keep going over that till people get it, because I see throughout social media people are regurgitating some of the things I say, and this is good. This is good because that means people understand this part of relationships is imperative. I believe, I've centered my movement around people understanding the two energies, because I believe because we've switched them and because we don't understand them, we go into relationships thinking I can just do what I want, and he thinks he can do what he wants. And then we wonder why we don't get along. If we pick a lane and stay in that lane, number one, we're going to attract people that we can have longevity with. And two, it's going to be healthy. It's going to be a smooth, you're going to have less friction, right? You're going to have less friction because you understand your role and he understands his role. And yes, it is traditional, because what we're finding is that a lot of things that we had in society before didn't work. But then when we were traditional, we had more marriages, we had more families, we had more stability, we had more money in the family, more generational wealth. I mean, these are things we can't run away from. So we need to, you know, back a little bit and look at the history of what worked, right, and what didn't work. And we just have to be honest with ourselves. Everybody doing what they want to do. Thanks to the feminist movement, there were good things about it, but for the most part, this whole I can do what I want and you can do what you want, and then we're gonna try to hook up when we can, that type of philosophy doesn't work in long-term relationships, right? It doesn't work for the betterment of the family. So let's talk about narcissists. And you don't have to raise your hand and say, hey, that's me. But you can say, hey, I know somebody like that, right? Narcissism is actually a mental disorder that people have. It's sort of like an inflated sense of self-importance. Have you ever met somebody in their mind, they're just so all that and you're looking at them like nobody's sweating you like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, uh um I have the title of number one influencer of femininity influencer in the world because I believe that's where I'm going. I don't believe I'm there yet. I believe I'm getting there. When you influence people, the numbers are going to show. You're going to see fruits of your labor. You're going to see people, the conversations being had of your talking points. That's how you know you're influencing, right? I'm trying to get there. I'm pushing, right? I see little bits and I see little victories and I see little things happening on social media, and and I'm smiling on the inside like I'm making a difference, right? I'm getting there. But when I go around saying I'm all that and nobody's better, I'm the best and nobody's better than me, and I'm putting down other people and I'm putting myself on this pedestal, that's when okay, that's when people are like, no, you're not. I can't, be in her space. She got the big head. Like, she thinks she's all that. That's when you got a problem. And these narcissists have a deep need for admiration. Like, it's like almost like an infatuation or a preoccupation with being admired. Okay. Sort of like, I don't want to say all Instagram models, but there tends to be this underlying theme that I have to get this attention no matter what. Like, if I'm on, wherever I am, all eyes have to be on me at some point. There are some people that go live on Facebook just to be seen. They're not talking about nothing. They don't have a point. They don't have content. They don't have intent. They just want to be seen. Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on? And you just, okay. are you going to say something? Like, what's the point? I'm waiting for it. And they never, that because they just want to be seen. And then by that time, people are frustrated because they're like, I just wasted 10 minutes of my life waiting on this person to say something. I can't stand that. But they have a deep need for admiration. Like, they need attention, eyes on them. Have you met us? Have you seen celebrities where they just constantly doing selfies, constantly, or just not even celebrities, just people, every time you turn around, selfies. Or I can go to somebody's Facebook page and every day or every other day or 5 or 6 times a week there's a selfie. And believe it, in their mind, if they don't have a certain amount of likes, they feel some type of way. All right. And narcissists tend to have a lack of empathy for others, right? It's all about their needs. Like, for instance, let's say, for instance, you want to go on vacation and then your coworker had a death in the family. So they actually are out of the job. They're off work, not in the office. And you go to the powers that be and say, oh, just to give you a heads up, like my old office, I didn't have to put in time. I just said, hey, I'm taking off a week. I'll be back. As long as I had the time, they weren't tripping. It was just that kind of office. It was a great office, by the way. But anyway, I just think about that. That was awesome. But you go to your powers that be and you say, hey, I want to be off for the next week. And they say, oh, by the way, Brenda's out of the office for a death in her family and you're not going to be able to do it. Can you wait till she comes back? Or you don't have you don't have an option. Like, you have to wait till Brenda comes back, and you throw a hissy fit because you want to go on vacation, but they're trying to tell you Brenda had a death in her family. You can't go right now. That narcissistic person is going to just not, they're missing the point. It's not that they don't want you to go or they're keeping you from something. You literally can't go right now because, extenuating circumstances. Narcissists really don't get that, and they don't really want to get it. They want what they want when they want it, right? Okay, so that's pretty much narcissists. Now, the thing about narcissists, they actually have wounded spirits. So typically they have low self-esteem that drives their insecurity. They have a deep-rooted, yesterday we talked about soul wounds. They have a soul wound. We talked about fatherless childhoods. It could stem from a fatherless childhood, or it could stem from just being overly spoiled. It could stem from not getting enough attention, right? Typically, it stems from fears of abandonment, fears of rejection, and fears of neglect. That type of stuff happened to them when they were younger, and it transfers over to adulthood. And this is another behavior, a really serious behavior, mental disorder that really takes over their emotions, and it's derived from a soul wound like fear, rejection, and neglect that makes them so insecure and have low self-esteem, right? And it's a wound, right? And they have fragile self-esteem. Like, they can give the best insults, but if you insult them the littlest bit, they turn into a victim. And why are you talking about me? Why are you saying this about me? But they can give really, really hard. And they're vulnerable to criticism. Like, you can give constructive criticism to a normal person and they go, you know what, that stings, but I hear you, right? They may not talk to you for 2 days, but they heard you. Like, they're not fighting it. A narcissistic person is like, they're hurt. Like, they won't talk to you anymore. Like, you're no longer friends. Okay, because you hurt their little fragile egos, and they don't want to come off as their egos are fragile. So this is why they may come off like they're strong. They have this strong exterior, like nothing can hurt me. But if you say something to give constructive criticism or say something as a correction, or, oh, their feelings are hurt, they may not even speak to you ever again in life. They may begin to be your enemy after that because they've internalized that pain. Right. And this is deep rooted, but they refuse to get help. Like, they don't think that they need help. This is him. It's them, and it's everybody else's problem. It's everybody else's fault, not them. Right. They love to play victims, and their fears are this. And hopefully some of you are taking notes, because you're going to run into these people. And in a few minutes, I'm going to give you some things you can say when you're in an argument to defuse A narcissist. This is going to really help you because it helped me. One, some of their fears are relationship commitments. These people will avoid a commitment to no end. They will make up excuses. Now, yesterday, we talked about fatherless children and how they avoid relationships based on their fears of abandonment, neglect, rejection, right? So, regardless of what reason they avoid it because they don't want to be committed. Like being committed means on some level they are relying or interdependent on another person and they don't want that. And that means they are relinquishing some type of control on some type of level. Typically, masculine energy women are they lean more towards narcissism in regards to they don't want a commitment because that means I'm losing control. Falling in love means I'm losing control, and they don't want to do that. They'd rather get with a man they can control. I'm paying all the bills. He needs to do what I say. Or he needs his teeth fixed since you paying all the bills. He needs his teeth fixed, but you're not gonna get the teeth fixed because you think once they get fixed, he gonna leave you. Probably is because you're masculine energy. That's not the point. Point is you won't do it. You need that control by saying, I know I could do it, but I'm not going to because he's gonna leave me, right? And so narcissistic women are stay in relationships that are safe. And a lot of times these relationships are toxic, but they're safe. Now, what does that mean, Necole? How does that make sense? Well, he talks to you horrible and he might slap you upside the head a couple times, but that's safer than leaving him, healing, and going to get into a relationship that you really love. Because if you get into a relationship with a man that really loves you and you really love him, that's scary because he could really leave. I know it sounds crazy, but some women actually think like that. Men think like that too. She's thought, she's ratchet. We looking at her as women. We know that she's gonna do nothing but break his heart. But he sees what he sees. He wants what he wants. You can't tell him nothing. And then when it happens, he's like, oh. Now, why is he with her? Because it's easy. It's a comfort zone. It's a comfort zone. He doesn't want to go after the woman that has higher standards or looks a little bit better, higher respectability, because that means, number one, he's going to have to step up. Number two, I could really fall in love with her. And she's going to have the keys to the kingdom. And I can't risk losing that. It's safe to be with this little ratchet because I know how to contain. He thinks he knows how to contain her. We always think we know how to contain a relationship, but you can't control other people, right? So what ends up happening? A codependency relationship. He ends up getting brokenhearted, and then he ends up upset at all women. That right? We see that all the time, right? Same thing. Narcissistic. You can't tell them anything, right? But they usually stay in relationships that are safe, even if they're dysfunctional. And to normal people, we're like, you don't see that relationship is dysfunctional? You don't see that person's crazy? That's why I never tell people to break up with another person. I never do that. And people come to me and talk about marriage, believe it or not. And I go, you know what? I'm not going to tell you to get a divorce. I'm going to ask you questions and you answer them. You don't have to answer them with me, but I'm going to ask you a series of questions and then you answer them when you get by yourself. Because if you give me answers, you're going to give me what you think I want to hear. I want you to answer and talk to yourself because you know what you want. So I'm going to ask you some questions, you answer it, and you make your decision based on the answer to your questions. I never tell people to break up, ever. Because, typically they're not telling you everything anyway. But, it's just not a good thing as a coach to tell people to break up. So I tell them, is this what you want long term, or is this, you got to kind of lead them to their own conclusion. But these narcissists put walls up around their hearts and they fear people won't love the real them. We talked about this yesterday with fatherless childhoods. We talked about this where typically these women have walls up and so do the guys. They don't have fathers, so they have walls up around their hearts because they don't want to go into that uncharted territory about of giving their heart to a woman and then have her walk all over it. The moment I tell her I love her, the moment I tell her I'm forsaking all others just for her, that's when the drama comes. Absolutely not. I'm not giving it to her. I'm going to fight it. And then as soon as I feel myself falling, I'm going to go cheat on her because I don't want her to know how much I'm into her. That is, you know, a level of walls up, but typically this is like a characteristic of a narcissistic person. Am I saying a person that does that is narcissistic? No, I'm saying this is one of the characteristics of a narcissistic person is they have walls up in regards to connection, a serious connection with people. They love free sex, unattached sex. You know what I mean? Sex on a whim, sex with strangers. They love that kind of stuff because that allows them to not really connect, right? They don't have to know your name, right? They're good. Hey, Mr. Macon, George Macon in the house. How you doing, sweetie? Yeah. So, the next one, insults. Now, these people love to shoot insults, but they can't take it. They love to shoot insults, but they can't take it. They cannot take roast. They can give roast and they can give insults with the best of them. But if you turn around and say, but look at your wig though, but look at your edges, look at that tire in the middle of your stomach. You know what I'm saying? They can't handle it. Look at your teeth. Look at your face. Look how greasy you are. They can't stand it. They can't stand it. Oh my God. But they can tell you how stupid you are, how fat you are, what you look like. They can tell you all everything. They can read you all up and down. But when you flip it and you start talking about them, they can't handle it. Right? That's a classic narcissist move. Um, and what happens is they hate what happens is they fear criticism, but they quick to dish it out. And comes from a fragile self-esteem, fragile, insecurity. The next one is self-reflection. They hate to look on themselves. We have a conversation with a narcissistic person, male or female. They hate to be called out. And in your mind, you're just saying, no, I'm just telling you that, like, you have on mismatched shoes. They'll take that personal. Or no, that's not a good example. A good example is saying in a conversation you're having with friends, and your friends say to you, Necole, I love the way you talk, but you really need to get a better sound system because you sound like you're screaming and you come across. And I go, no, I don't. That's crazy. Y'all stupid. I don't even sound like that. Why are you coming at me like that? Like, you guys are victimizing me. Like, you're attacking me, right? Instead of saying, you know what, let me look at myself and let me take into consideration what they're saying. Let me look on the inside. Or if somebody says, you're selfish, like you won't do the laundry on your day, but you want other people to do their laundry on their day. Like, it's sort of like you have rules for people, but you don't want to follow the same rules. Ever been in a relationship, fellas, with a woman? She wants you to be traditional, but she wants you to be traditional, but she wants to do whatever she wants to do. That's a narcissistic woman. I talk about that all the time, so women get it. They don't realize they come off as narcissistic, and it's hard to be in a relationship with a narcissistic person because they never do self-reflection. If you're in a relationship with them, you have a conversation with them and you want to talk about, okay, these are your areas of opportunity to get better, they take it personal. Even if they bring up the conversation and you say something, constructive criticism, or you say something, they don't want to hear it because they don't want to self-reflect. What happens is they hate to come to terms with who they really are. So in their mind, they have this inflated ego because they don't really want to deal with who they really are. Now that's really, really deep. I want y'all to think about that. They don't really want to deal with who they really are. So when you point something out to them, they're going to deflect and change the subject. And we're going to talk about that, their deflections, in a minute. But they don't want to deal with that because they don't want to deal with who they really are. They fear that if they go deep within themselves, they're not going to like who they are. Now that's some deep stuff right there. If they start to look within themselves, they might not even like themselves, much less you liking them. They're not even worried about that. They might not like who they really are. See, that is super, super low self-esteem. So you got to recognize that. And arguing with these people is going round and round and round. But I'm going to help y'all argue with narcissists to diffuse them. The next one is shame. What they'll do is they'll do anything to avoid feeling shame, but do not fear guilt, right? So they don't want to feel shame. Like when you try to talk to young women or women in general about single motherhood, and they don't want to feel shame, so they're going to deflect, they're going to turn into a victim, they're going to shoot insults because they don't want to deal with feeling shameful. Now when they shoot an insult or they say something to hurt you, then they don't worry about feeling guilty. Not really. They don't feel guilt, right? They feel shame, but they don't feel guilt. In other words, if you're attempting to make them feel shamed about something, or they think that they're trying to shame them, then they're going to shoot insults at you. Boom, boom. You got a fat head. You gay. You don't like what, you know what I mean? You're fat. You ain't married. Da 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 da. Because they don't want to feel shame, right? They don't feel guilty for insulting you, but they don't want to feel shame. Does that make sense? And they also fear being a social outcast or lower status. So they always want to fit in. And typically they want to dominate the area, but that's secondary. They have to be a part of the group, the clique. They can't be the lone wolf. That's great. They have to be a part of a clique, and they don't want to be at the bottom. They have to be sort of at the top, being a shot caller. They need that. And the shame of being ostracized, they can't handle that. You know what I mean? Um, if you're talking to a single mother, they just the subject alone makes them feel shameful, and it puts them on a defense, right? And you may have all the intentions of saying, okay, we're just trying to help you change your mentality, because they automatically do not want, they jump defensive because they don't want to feel the shame. Now that you've listened to this broadcast, now you know what their mentality is, you can understand, and now you know how to have conversations with them without triggering them. It's going to be hard because there a lot of women are narcissistic, but now at least you know what their brain is, what's going on up there. And the second one is they lack admiration. The lack of admiration. They hate losing attention, right? They want to be noticed, and they'll do anything they can, negative or positive, to get attention. They will come in chat rooms and troll. They will do videos about other people. Anything they can do to get attention, whether it's positive or negative, they gotta have it. But they internalize it as admiration. Sorry, I couldn't get it out. They look at it as admiration, and they're terrified if their attempts to get that attention fails. Like, that is their worst feeling in the world. The next one is they fear getting exposed. Now they'll expose everybody else and put everybody else on Front Street, but their worst fear is somebody discovering who they really are. That's their biggest fear, right? Now they'll put you on blast, but they don't want to be put on blast, right? The next one is they hate to say thank you. Have you ever met somebody, you give them the world and they never say thank you? Or you go out of your way to help somebody and they don't say thank you? Have you talked to somebody who you've done something for, and it was out of the kindness of your heart, and it was a sacrifice, and people don't do things for, to get a thank you, but it helps. It lets the person that's giving know that you appreciate it, right? But that's not how narcissists internalize that. Narcissists internalize that as, if I show gratitude, that means I needed somebody. I relied on somebody else. That means I was inadequate in some way. That's how they internalize it. You see how crazy that is? To them, that's like, I can't say thank you because that means, you know what I mean? You tell somebody some good information, and instead of them saying, thank you so much, I appreciate that, thank you for telling me. No, they can't say thank you for telling me something, because that means they're deficient in some way. In their mind, they're deficient. Now you just want to thank you and go on your way. But to them, they're deficient in some kind of way. So they can't say thank you. They can't. It hurts. It hurts too much. And then they fear death. Okay. All right. They have this God complex, and the fact of them dying hurts. And the next one is conversing with a narcissistic, right? And when you converse with them or you have an argument with them, it seems like you're speaking two different languages. And I see this throughout YouTube and I see this on Facebook all the time. And I had to get out of these Facebook groups because it was just a bunch of narcissistic people talking to narcissistic people. It's like you have one person that makes a consistent point, and then, it's these ad hominem attacks, insults. You know how they do, they like to deflect. These are strategies of narcissistic people because they don't want to deal with the topic at hand, because that would force them to self-reflect, and self-reflect may make them feel shame and lose admiration. They don't want to do that. So speaking to narcissists is like speaking another language. And what they try to do is covert manipulation. They try to now overt manipulation is yelling, screaming, insults, and stuff like that we easily identify. But that covert manipulation is sort of like talking in a very calm voice, trying to come off as feminine, but they are totally trying to manipulate the conversation, because they do all of the following things I'm getting ready to tell you. This is what they do. They try to invalidate your viewpoints. So if you say the marriage rate is under 30%, we need to focus on marriages, and we need to focus on, helping the younger generation understand and value the institution of marriage, right? Straight to the point. They will deflect and they'll say, I don't understand why you're saying that. You fat. Okay, what does that have to do with what I just said? Right? That's there they go. And then, or they'll try to switch from the topic, and then they'll flip the blame to the other person. Right? So if you say, single women need to do X, Y, and Z, they'll flip it and go, well, who are you to tell me anything like that? You did X, Y, and Z. Or let me use myself. I'll say the marriage rate needs to improve, blah, 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 blah. And they'll say, or I'll say something about single mothers, and they'll go, well, who are you to talk about relationships? You're divorced. See how they're reflecting blame because they don't want to validate what I just said. That's prime example. Now, that's a prime example of them doing that. It has nothing to do with the point, but they get to deflect, because they don't want to reflect on themselves. So they'll deflect on the person that's saying it because they don't want to deal with what. Now, mind you, that argument that they use, that, oh, this person is single, this person is divorced, how are they going to talk about anybody else? They listen to Derek Jackson all day long. They listen to Matthew Hussey all day long. They listen to April Mason all day long. See, those people they give them a whole glossy, fantasized image of relationships. So they listen to those people all day long. But in the moment you give them something to do self-reflection, automatically they start to switch blame, and now they start to hyper focus on your, whatever they can deflect on. Oh, look at your hair. Look, oh, you're old, you're fat, you're this and that. Anything to keep from focusing on what the point you just made. That's what narcissists do. Okay. They don't want to deal with what you just said. Have you ever been in an argument in a relationship with somebody, and you're talking about what they said that upset you? They're going to flip it and go, well, it's just like this morning when I told you to do X, Y, and Z, you said, da, 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 and you go, but we're not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about this. That's what narcissists do. They try to flip it, and you kind of lose direction. Like, what were we talking about in the first place? Now you get frustrated, like you losing your mind. They love to shift the blame. This is a tactic of narcissists, right? So if you do this, ladies, just understand, men can't stand this, and this is why a lot of women don't get married. This right here, these tactics that I'm giving you that narcissists do, this is what makes him not want to be with you for the long term, right? That other stuff about self-reflection and blame and admiration, it's not a deal breaker. But when you start doing these things right here, these are deal breakers for most men emotionally, because now they check out. And even if they're married to you, Let me repeat that again. Even if they're married to you, a man can check out. Fellas, even if you're married to her, she can check out. If you do too much of this too long, the other person's gonna check out. Okay, let me get through these. Protection. They avoid looking at themselves, so they turn the blame on you. So they can't seem imperfect. Okay, so this causes intense emotional stress on other person, and then they try to prove. Um, so then you end up trying to prove them wrong. So then you're arguing, and you say, "I didn't like what you did this morning," and they flip it on you and go, "But then last week you did X, Y, and Z." So then you start defending yourself about what they just said instead of them dealing with what you initially said. Does that make sense? So for example, you say, I told you I didn't mind going to the movies. It wasn't a big deal. I don't understand why we're still talking. So then they switch it and go, well, it's just like last week when I told you about the card game, and so now you're defending yourself about the card game instead of y'all talking about the movies. Does that make sense? This is how they deflect, and a lot of you do this and you don't realize you're doing it. I'm telling you, this will turn people off on you, especially if you're dating somebody and you do this. uh this that is a turnoff. Lack of accountability. Exactly, they hate accountability because accountability is self-reflection. That takes work. So then they flip it, and so you end up trying to argue about something that wasn't the initial argument, right? This happens in YouTube a lot, where people are on panels and they have a topic, and the person will come on, make their point, and then say something completely off. And so now the panel is talking about their off point instead of talking about the topic. It happens all the time. It irritates me to no end. Female narcissists will use their sexuality. They will use their boobs. They will use their soft voice. They will use their sexuality to get a man in. They will use their big behinds, whatever they can, whatever his vice is, they're going to use that to pull him in, manipulate him a little bit, right? And once he's in, they got him. That's when they start ramping up the abuse. All right. This happens with a lot of masculine energy women. They see a guy they like, sexually attracted to him. They know he wants to bang. So let me pull him in, get him sexually addicted to me. Now I can really be who I really am. Because she's not really trying to attach to him long term necessarily. She's trying to get him and manipulate him. And that's what narcissists do. That's what narcissistic women do. Okay. And then they love word salads. What are word salads, Necole? Word salads are they'll bring up something. They'll bring up something else. What I just said, they're on the panel and they'll bring up something else to add to it. In their mind, it has everything to do with the topic, but it really doesn't. It's sort of like a tangent, but everybody starts to scramble to handle what they just threw out there, except now everybody's off on the points, right? And this is done to confuse the other people. This happens in relationships all the time. He mentioned the movies, and then you throw out the card game. Now, you throwing out other points, and now he's like, okay, now we're arguing about the card game. Now he's frustrated. Number one, his point was never validated, and now he's trying to defend himself about the card game. You see how this happens? This can wear other people down. So if this is you, just understand you're wearing your partner down. And a lot of times men can articulate why they're so frustrated, but they're frustrated because they're dealing with you inserting arguments or points that are not a part of the original conversation. And so they end up arguing about what you're talking about, because again, this narcissistic person doesn't want accountability. They don't want to deal self-reflection. They don't want that. So the original point is lost. It's lost. All the lettuce and tomato words, it's just all jumbled up. And this is how narcissists feel like, I'm getting over, I'm winning. All I got to do is confuse them and make them argue about what I want them to argue about. Now they can get off my tail, right? Gaslighting. This is when They totally lie about saying something. Or they'll accuse you of saying something that you didn't say just to confuse you. So deep in the conversation or the argument, they'll say, but you said X, Y, Z. You go, in your mind, you go, I know I didn't say that. I know I didn't say that. I wish we had a tape recorder I could play it back. I know I didn't say that. But this is how narcissists do. Again, this is another type of deflection, y'all. This is what you hear this all the time on YouTube panels where you have some person in their mind, they heard something or didn't hear something, and it takes the entire chat or it takes the entire, audience, call-in audience to say, you know what, that person's crazy. We didn't hear that. You didn't say that. And this is what narcissists do. If you do this in relationships, you need to stop that, because this confuses the other person, and the other person doesn't feel validated, because again, narcissists are not trying to validate the point, because that means they would have to do self-reflection, and this means they're going to feel shame, and so they don't want to do any of that, right? They want you to question your own reality. They want you to start feeling dumb. The next one is they want to hurl insults at you and then try to come up with a solution. So after they've diffused the argument in their mind by, insulting you gay because you don't like black women, blah, 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 blah. Now they've hurt you. They've said some of our most hurtful things. Now they want to say, well, let's just come up with a solution that we can, let's just bury this and let's just put this on the table for another time. Now they done hurt you. And now all of a sudden they have this grand solution to leave things alone. That's what narcissists do. After they done burnt up the house, now they want to come, well, I'm thinking about the greater good, so I'm going to go over here and build a teepee. Now they burnt down the house. Now they want to come build a teepee. And they're going to build a teepee on their territory, so it can be their rules. You get it? That's how narcissists are. So they use your emotions against you. And once they get you all riled up, then that's when they go, you need to calm down. Why are you yelling? I've seen this countless times. After this broadcast, you guys are going to be super, super sensitive to that. But have you ever been talking to somebody and once they start pushing your emotional buttons, they're pushing your emotional buttons by not validating you, throwing stuff out there you didn't say, all of the stuff I just listed. Now your voice is elevated. You're amped up. You're passionate now because you don't feel heard. You feel like you must be stupid because they keep saying stuff you didn't think you said. Now all of a sudden you're emotionally invested into this little rumble. Now all of a sudden, calm down. You're so emotional. Calm down. You're so loud. Calm down. You're so mad. Oh my God. Oh, you're so violent. Now you're like, what? Huh? You're so masculine energy. You're so aggressive. Huh? You just push my buttons and now it's me. See, that is classic narcissistic deflection. Classic. Textbook. Go look it up on Psychology Today. This isn't just Necole talking. This is Psychology 101. This is what you do to people when you want to diffuse and not talk about the matter at hand, right? Female narcissists are attention seeking. I already talked about that. This is a huge one about them. They love attention. And if you tell them you don't need a booty shot on Instagram to get people to like you, you're attractive, you don't need all that, it goes in one ear and out the other. They need that attention like you need air to breathe. Like they can't understand that. They are catty and they bully others. They love gossip. They love drama. They keep it going on a passive aggressive way. They work behind the scenes to keep drama going. And then they'll come in the public or they'll come around their friends and family and go, I don't know what's up with these people. They just stay fighting. I just don't like, have you ever seen, and I've always seemed to work with these type of people where it's always office drama and it's always one or two women in the middle of it, the go-between. And they'll swear up and down it's never them. I never started that rumor. I never said that. And then to place blame other place, they'll say, well, you shouldn't have said that, or they'll exert their dominance over other people so nobody will speak up against them or challenge them, because behind the scenes they're running everybody like a little puppet, and they're telling this person this and that person that, so these people can fight, and then they come out like, oh my God, look at these people. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? This is what this typically happens in the workplace, but I see it everywhere. Ladies, don't be that chick. Don't be like that. Right? And typically these women are insecure and they love to see drama because again, that deflects from them. And if you have women that gossip about you or try to start fights with you, feminine ladies, typically those women are jealous of you. So they start rumors about you. They try to get you involved in beefs. They try to get you involved in drama. This is how they move. This is how they operate. Okay, so don't let them pull you into that drama. If this is you, ladies, stop, just don't, because what it does is not only are you narcissistic, but it shows that you're jealous of the people that you're targeting, right? And if you say you're not jealous, but your behavior says otherwise, don't do it. Stop it. Don't do it. Why do you think my numbers are low today? Because I'm talking about narcissists. Most people are narcissistic. Most people are narcissistic, right? And it's an ugly character trait, and it can be a deal breaker. But a lot of women that get you in drama, and you kind of feel like you pulled in the drama, resist the urge to get involved with that stuff. If you have to be the lone wolf and work by yourself, work by yourself. But as a feminine woman, you're going to appreciate setting yourself apart away from the drama. Excuse me. You're going to appreciate setting yourself away from the drama, because typically a lot of those women are envious of you and they pull you in so they can show everybody, see, she's not what she said she was. See, she's a fake, right? Because that justifies their own insecurities. They're insecure about themselves. So if they can feel like they're exposing you or calling you out on something or doing, deflecting on you, and that makes them feel better. Insulting you, gossiping, all that kind of stuff makes them feel better. Right? All right. So check this. Okay. So here are the 8 phrases you can say in an argument and win. This is how you diffuse a narcissistic argument. Here goes. 1, you are allowed to feel that way. Oh, you just diffused them. When they're coming at you saying, I just don't understand why you do this and this and that. Instead of defending yourself when you know you're right, or you have a inclination that you're right, or you just know you've presented facts, you said what you have to say, and they still in their feelings go, you are allowed to feel that way. That shuts them all the way down. They're going to try to come at you again, but that diffuses that. The next one is, thank you for letting me know how you feel. I love that one. You know what? Thank you for letting me know how you feel. And just that's it. Just leave it right there. That diffuses, number one, if it diffuses arguments, but it also diffuses narcissistic people. Because they typically shoot from feelings and they want you to get in your feelings and escalate the argument. And so when you say thank you for letting me know how you feel, you've validated their opinion. They can't say you're not listening. They can't say that you're ignoring their points or whatever. And you are acknowledging how they feel. That's it. And you don't have anything else to say. You're just kind of shutting it down. The next one, well, I just wanted you to know how I feel. So you said all you can say. You've done all you can say. Now you go, well, I just wanted you to know how I feel. Just leave it right there. Just leave it right there. Especially with arguments on social media and people going back and forth, it's a never ending thing. You just go, I just want you to know how I feel. Let's leave it right there. The next one is, this is when all else fails. I hear you. Ladies, when a man says, I hear you, he has checked out. You are literally talking to yourself. Fellas, am I lying? What that means, he has tried every which way to calm you down. He's tried to help you see reason. He's tried to present facts. He's tried to be logical. He's tried to be calm. And you still going on and on and on and on and on. When a man says, I hear you, after that point, you are literally talking to yourself. He's checked out. I hear you. That is the worst. When he says, I hear you, ladies, that's not good. That's not good. You need to fix that quick. Especially with your man and you talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, 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 and he goes, I hear you. Ladies, you got a problem. Go ask your man what he, well, actually don't, because he's not gonna be able to articulate it. He's gonna think you're trying to start an argument. So don't ask him that. Just take my word for it. When he says I hear you, that's the end of that. He's checked out. He doesn't care what else you're saying. He's done. He's thinking about something else. And the last thing you want is for him to be checking out, thinking about somebody else. Don't do that. Don't push and push and push and push. When you hear I hear you, yeah. That's the bad sign there. The next one, thank you for expressing your viewpoint. And that's it. Thank you for expressing your viewpoint. That's not being smart. It's validating what they said. It could have went in one ear and out the other, but they don't know that. Thank you for expressing your viewpoint and leave it there. Because what you're doing is you're not trying to convince them that you're right. You're not trying to convince them that they're wrong. You're just saying, you know what? Thank you for expressing your viewpoint. Right? The next one, sorry you feel that way. Oh, you fat cow. Sorry you feel that way. You know what I'm saying? In your heart, you like, I wish I could take that dust mop off her head and throw it across that room and then, grab her by her neck. And, in your mind, you have this visual of how this is going to go down, but you go, sorry you feel that way. Right? Just let them have it, because they are in their own world miserable. So some stuff you just got to let people have. As feminine women, here's the key. As feminine women, we have to learn these phrases. This is why you need to be taking these notes. This works in your romantic relationship. It works at work. Fellas, you need to institute. Y'all already do the I hear you, but the other ones you guys need to institute as well. Especially when you see the conversation is just circular. It's not going anywhere. You need to learn these phrases. Shut that stuff down. Too much arguing wears people out, and it wears down the romance and relationship connection. You start to resent each other. You start bickering and arguing all the time. And that will break down the relationship. So, ladies, as feminine ladies, you guys need to learn these phrases anyway, whether you're narcissistic or not, simply because we don't argue. Because we're emotional, we're gonna get loud. And some of y'all gonna start cussing, and you MFer, I know you didn't say that about me, you son of a blah, 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 blah. I mean, some of us still got that in us. That's who we are. That's part of our personality. We accept that. But as feminine women, we kind of evolve. As we get more feminine, we learn how to diffuse arguments better. And these phrases I'm giving you are going to help you diffuse these arguments. I probably need to do this as recorded content. But these phrases are going to help you diffuse arguments. And the guys that you're with are going to be blown away because, number one, you're not getting emotional, erratic, yelling and cussing. You're not doing all that. You're just like, sorry you feel that way. He's going to look at you like, what? Did I get a black woman that doesn't yell and scream or argue and cuss? Whoa, this is too good to be true. Let me hurry up and get to K Jewelers, right? Fellas, am I lying? When you learn these phrases, you're going to learn how to defuse arguments. Hi, everybody coming in the chat. How you doing? You're going to learn how to defuse arguments in your favor. Right. And at this point, you're kind of saying, I'm not trying to convince you of my reality. I'm not even trying to win. At this point, I just want peace. And you convey that in a cool, calm manner that calms narcissists all the way down. Sorry you feel that way. You don't have. Now, some of us, we absorb the insult, especially if we're sensitive, or especially if they hit a soft spot, or especially if they hit an area where we feel kind of sensitive in. We can absorb that, but when you say sorry you feel that way, you're basically saying your insult has nothing to do with me. I heard your insult, but it has nothing to do with me. The next phrase, I agree to disagree. This is a common one. It's good. This is saying, I recognize your point. You recognize my point, but we're not going to get an agreement. It's not happening, but I agree to disagree. Good one. The next one, I choose to see things differently. This is when they're telling you you're stupid for saying that. You're stupid for wanting marriage. You're stupid for wanting to marry a black man. You're stupid to us sitting up here talking about femininity. You're stupid for the. I choose to see differently, and let that lay right there. They're how if they continue to argue at that point, they look like an erratic fool. And that's exactly what you want them to do. When as feminine women, we say, I choose to see this differently, you've shut it all the way down. It's done. Now, you get that battle axe sometimes just want to keep coming at you. Especially with other women. I choose to see things differently. Just shut that all the way down and let it be. When you're at the workplace, this will work. This will shut it all the way down. The next one. Oh, that's the last one I had. Okay, so we talked about ways to diffuse and shut down arguments. I hope you all caught that. I may do some recorded content on these phrases because these are actually pretty good. I just thought about that as I was looking over my notes. I said, wait a minute, I need to put this in recorded content. The ways to diffuse an argument, because a lot of times we get heated and we have not, as feminine women, we get very emotional because people push our buttons. Hopefully through this broadcast, you've learned how to diffuse, recognize in you narcissistic behavior or characteristics of a narcissistic person, and two, learn how to diffuse narcissists that you're in a conversation with. You know their tactics, and then you know what phrases to shut them down. Hopefully you got that from this broadcast. Now, let's talk about healthy narcissism, and then we're going to get out of here. Healthy narcissism is when there's a healthy balance between feminine and masculine. Now, in the beginning, we talked about there's 4 people in a relationship. The woman has masculine qualities. The man, she has masculine qualities and feminine qualities, and the man has feminine qualities and masculine. But in a relationship, we choose to lead with one or the other, right? Healthy narcissism says, I'm going to have a balance between my feminine and my masculine. Meaning, when I'm at work, I'm in my masculine, right? And then when I leave work, I'm in my feminine, right? Or it's situational. In this situation, my husband is not here. The movers just arrived. They need to know which boxes to move, right? Do I need to wait till my husband gets back to tell the movers which boxes? No. I step into my masculine energy and I lead and direct, right? Situational, right? And you're saying for this particular situation, I'm in my masculine energy, but any other time I'm feminine, right? That's healthy narcissism, right? There's a balance. Or when a man says, I am naturally the leader, but I'm going to acquiesce to my wife's decision this one time because it makes sense. It makes more logical sense. I'm listening to what she said. The problem is this is a tangent, but a lot of times women want this to happen more often than it should. Like they want him to take her decision making over his decision making more often than not. And that's not how relationships work. That one particular time is when he says, yes, okay, her decision was great. That sounds great. It works for this particular scenario. I'm going to take my woman's choice this time, right? That's him saying, I'm going to let her lead this particular situation, right? And you can't force him to do this all the time, ladies, because then you're trying to overstay. You're being narcissistic again, right? You're trying to take over his role. And then when it's inconvenient for you to be a leader, then you try to say, oh no, I'm feminine. You need to step up and be a man. No. When he lets you lead, that's the one time you do it and then you step back down. That's hard to do, but in relationships, it absolutely has to happen. Just like sometimes you give him the baby and and he becomes the nurturer for that situation. Right? He's picking up kids and sometimes he's cooking, right? Sometimes he's cleaning. Those are situational, right? That doesn't mean he's, his role, or let me do more energy. He may be in, I don't know, I'm trying to come up with a scenario where men are in their feminine energy. I would say playing with a little girl. He's down there and he's playing with a little girl, his daughter, having tea time with her. That's situational. Like, that's not going to happen all the time. You know what I mean? Or he lost his job or something and his woman's paying the bills for a few months. That's situational. That's not him basically giving up his masculine energy or him acquiescing to her or being beta. That's just him in that particular situation doing that. But that's him at his core, is who he is. That's not changing. There's situational times, and then there's times where you're back and forth and you're all over the place. That's unhealthy narcissism, right? So let me back up. Healthy narcissism is when there's a balance and when you understand when it's situational for you to switch. Okay, so when you're at work, it's easier for me to use women at work. When you're at work, your masculine energy, when you come home and you're dealing with your husband and children and society in general, now you're feminine, right? That's a healthy narcissism. Most women, they think they have healthy narcissism, but they don't. They really have masculine energy across the board. And that's the whole point of this movement, is to help women differentiate the difference and understand and set a clear distinction between the masculine energy at work and the feminine, soft, gentle, me, nurturing, emotional, relationship-oriented part of me is when I leave work. At all the other times. When she's unable to do that, she's unhealthy narcissism. Or when she wants to be a hoe, but she still wants men to treat her like a lady, that's narcissism, right? That's clear narcissism. She wants to cut it up and act like a hoe in the club, but she still wants men to, no matter what she does, that man is supposed to treat her like a lady no matter what. That's narcissism. And usually Black feminists come at me and attack me when I say things like, I can't call every woman a lady. That's why you'll see some of my memes, I say female. And some of my memes, I say women. And some of my memes, I say ladies. You understand that's intentional. I intentionally break it up like that. Because females are just the femme gender, the girl, the woman, that the female gender. That's what females are. Now, all females at some point turn into a woman, right? If they live long enough, they turn into an adult woman, right? An adult female is a woman. All females turn into women. But here's the caveat. All women are not ladies. Why is that? Because it takes effort to become a lady, right? The things most women do cross them out from being a lady. Ladies take concerted effort to cut down on cursing, cut down on to take an effort into their presentation. They refined etiquette. The more they move up in status, the more they highly concentrate on etiquette. This is why some women are perceived as bougie and stuck up and things like that. It's really because they're in a different social class and they are born into families or raised in environments where etiquette is a part of their everyday life. The majority of women out here do not have etiquette a part of their everyday life. So when they come across women who sit a certain way, who talk a certain way, oh, them bougie females over there. No, they're not bougie. They're just refined. Okay. They have a level of etiquette that the general public has gotten away from. They just don't do. And so now we've reverted back to only certain classes have etiquette. Originally, before etiquette hit the world, in France and England, etiquette was reserved for courtiers. It was reserved for the king and queen, Louis XV. And I talk about this in my femininity course. It was relegated to only the courtiers, the rich people, the dukes, the earls, the courtiers, people that are surrounding the king. That was what etiquette was for. That's where the term etiquette comes from, So they didn't want people. It's not that they didn't want people, but it was only reserved for the rich people. That's where it started. But it trickled out as people started to travel and get access to different parts of the world. Then etiquette started to spread. And now poor people had access to etiquette. Now, in traditionally in American society, only certain classes had access to etiquette. If you were poor, trailer park, ghetto, you didn't really know about etiquette. And matter of fact, when you came across these people, you kind of felt some type of way. Oh, they bougie, this and that. We call them these names because that makes us feel better, because we feel a little deficient, or we feel a little self-conscious around these people because they seem a little polished. That's only because they grew up in environments where etiquette was indoctrinated, and they grew up around etiquette. That was part of growing up, you know? So those girls seemed like they thought they were better or something like that. It had nothing to do with that. They were just raised differently. Now I'm trying to even the playing field and offer etiquette courses for everybody. So you can come from the hood. You can be Shonda from the hood and go to a 5-star restaurant with Brandon and still fit in and not feel self-conscious or feel some type of way because you don't know etiquette. You know, you're going to know etiquette. They're going to have no idea that you Shonda from the hood because you know etiquette. And my course is kind of even the playing field, and anybody that gets it, once you finish it, I'm like, oh, nobody's going to know you took an etiquette course. All they care about is the finished product. And that's all you care about, right? Same thing with femininity. It's a journey. People don't care that you took a course. People don't care that you listen to me. All they care about is the finished product, how you're acting right now, how you look right now, how you present it right now. You don't have time to look at my course before you got on the date. But you can take my course and look at it and learn it and take each module and learn as you go on and on your journey, and you can finish it as you go on in your own own schedule. It's not something that's it's recorded, so you can come back and look at it and go through the modules at your convenience. But ladies, that's what narcissism is. It can absolutely derail a positive connection with you and a man, you and friends. I've seen narcissistic people walk away from good friends and not look back, because in their minds it's everybody else's fault. It's not my fault. I'm a victim. Who are you to tell me about my, thank you, Rugal. I appreciate that. Who are you to tell me who are you to tell me about myself? Who are you, all of that kind of stuff. That is typical of narcissistic people. All right. So if that's you, if you heard yourself in this broadcast, you don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell people, just start working on that. Make a concerted effort to go, you know what? I'm not going to let this mental disorder define me. I'm not going to be a mental disorder. I'm not going to act like this. I don't want people to feel like talking to me is like talking to a doorknob, right? Because that's what you end up being, a pest, annoying person. You don't want to do that. You want people to enjoy talking to you. Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing that. Yes, Kendra, that is true. The octanes. The thing is that to me applies more to men, simply because it's harder for them to jump statuses like that. With a woman, here's the thing about women and jumping social status. We absolutely can jump social statuses. All we need to do is be beautiful and feminine. That's it. That's it. Beautiful and feminine. So the higher you want to move up in social class, the finer you need to be and the more refined you need to be. So if you want a guy that's a, 6-figure plus suit and tie brother, then you need to be fine and you need to be feminine. That's non-negotiable. And in some social circles, you need to have a certain level of success. Just depends on the brother. Just depends on the man. But you need to bring something to the table that can enhance his overall status. So, like Melania, she was, because of her beauty and her femininity, she was very attractive to others, but she's bilingual. So that adds another layer to what she brings to the table. She's eye candy, but she can relate to people, and she's going to be impressive to people around him in his status. So that's what men of status look at. So if you are a little hood, little gangster, take my femininity course and definitely my etiquette course, because the type of guy that you want If he's a suit and tie brother and you have the looks, you're doing what you have to do to level up, do your hair, your makeup, your body is tight. You need to refine that femininity and that etiquette. You in there. It's easier for women to jump class. It's easier for a man to marry down. It's harder for a man to marry up. Now that's an entirely different broadcast. That's going somewhere I don't want to go right now because there's just so many moving parts to that. But ladies, you can have any man you want if your beauty is on point and your femininity and is on point, and that etiquette part is just like a plus. But that femininity part is non-negotiable. Men are more vocal about that. They are, especially ones that have come across what I'm saying. Thank you, Rugal. Thank you, Kendra D. As a proud 87 octane, I take pride in being a woman with ladylike tendencies. You can take me to gala, but you can also take me to the sharks fish. Right. So maybe I might do a show on social status. I don't know. That's going somewhere. I don't want to take this particular show. But ladies, you can absolutely have what you want. It's all about your mindset and what you're willing to invest. As a narcissistic woman, you're only going to be able to have a certain type of man, because most masculine energy men are not going to put up with a narcissistic woman for too long. As long as they get the sex, they're out of there, because that narcissism, it kills the romance. So this is why a lot of women find themselves in relationships with beta males, men that they find themselves, he need to step up. He need to step up. No, yeah, you need to be relaxed and be feminine. That's where this is going. A lot of ladies just need to relax in their femininity, and that does take a level of vulnerability, because you are relaxing in your feminine energy and you're being receptive, which is feminine energy. Feminine energy is receptive. Masculine energy is aggressive. It's going after something. This is why I tell women, you don't chase men, because you're not being your feminine energy. You as feminine women, we're receptive to his call, receptive to his summons, or his pursuit. And men are go-getters. They are aggressive, right? They go after what they want. They see a woman, they go get her, right? Beta males will tell you, I need a woman to come take care of me, come get me, I'm the prize. Okay, we're done talking, right? Because that sets the relationship up for mismatch energy. I'm feminine. I receive, because otherwise I can't let a man lead that's telling me that he wants me to come after him. That's put me in my masculine energy, right? We do the dance. I respond to your pursuit. I respond to that. We do the dance. You make a move, I make a counter move. You make this, I make a that. And that's how we do. We dance. Reception. Feminine energy is receptive. So men, if you're in about being chased and you want a woman to buy you gifts and take you out and do things like that, then you turn around and you want to be the leader, then you are narcissistic. You got to pick one. Are you going to be the leader and you're going to lead the relationship? You're going to guide, you're going to stay in that leadership role? Or are you going to bend because you are a little bit insecure and she need to show me that she like me? No, she shows you she likes you by responding to you. There's 10 other guys asking her out, but she said yes to you. That's in response to you. You're showing that you're going to get her. Go get her. You want her, go get her. That's what men do. That's what alpha masculine men do. I know you don't want to hear that, but that's the point. That's probably why you're not successful with women, because you want them to chase you. Okay? Ladies, that's why you have weak men, because you go chasing and calling and you want to go out with me and you paying the bill and all that kind of stuff. That's why you have your energies off. That's why you frustrated with men, because you end up paying their way. Stop doing that. Stop. Just decide today, men and women, I'm going to be feminine or I'm going to be masculine. That you can't bend. Well, she got to show me who she. No. What are you? Monday through Sunday, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. What are you? Not, well, she need to do this or he need to do. No. What are you? Right? And until you figure that out, you're going to continue to have mismatched relationships. You're going to continue to have bossy women. You're going to continue to have women come over here and telling you what to do, not respecting you. That's a big one. Not respecting you. These women need to respect these men. Okay, if this is what you're constantly complaining about, more than likely you're coming off as a beta male. I can assure you. Now, there are times where women are, if you're constantly attracting women that are bossing you, you need to take a look at self a little bit. Why are these women feel like they can boss me? What's going on? It's not all women. It's if you're the common denominator. Just like women, if you continuously get men that want you to lead and pay bills and they want you to chase them and it's you, baby girl. It's you. It's you. It's you. You're the common denominator. So I'm telling you all today, make a decision. Are you going to be feminine or are you going to be masculine? And I used to be narcissistic where I felt like I'll be feminine today. And then when it's inconvenient, then I'll switch back. Or, I was just all over the place. Right. And it diffuses the connection. It dissipates the positive energy between two people that are building a bond. He's not going to want to commit to you if you're narcissistic, ladies. So as feminine women, make that conscious decision. I'm going to be feminine. Right? It's going to take work. It's going to take work. Is this going to happen overnight? No, take the course. Nobody cares that you took the course. It's confidential. Only person that's going to know is me. And I'll probably forget because I have a lot of students and I get them emails mixed up and all that kind of stuff. What's your name? Don't worry about that. Get the information. That's all that matters is that you get the information. The man is not going to sit there. So you took a course on femininity? Nobody does that. They're going to be like, I'm so glad you're feminine. That's what's going to happen. You're so different from the other ladies. You're such a breath of fresh air. They're gonna love that about you. That's what you want. You want the end result. Focus on the end result. How much does it cost to be with a beta male? Obsidian said something very good. He said, being with a beta male or man that you control costs you a lot of money. That was a very profound statement because I don't think that resonated with a lot of women. When you with a man that you can control, when you with a man that you have to lead, when you in your masculine energy, and sometimes I need to be the boss. Great. What's going to happen is you're going to get an all-time beta male. You're not going to get, he's going to part-time lead and I'm going to part-time lead. That's not how that works. Unless you want to be with another narcissist. Now you asking to be arguing all the time. No. When you are in your feminine energy, then he's able to step up in his masculine energy and lead. But what happens when you're masculine energy? You're pursuing him, spending money to get him. Would you like to go have for dinner? Then you go have dinner with him and you paying. And you take him to the restaurant you want to go to. So you shelling out $100, $200 for a dinner with a man just so you can have a man, but you paying a bill. Girls trips alone, or because you just want to say you have a man and you want to stunt for the gram, or you want to stunt for Facebook or show some other woman off, then you go to an island, you pay for the trip, you take a picture like y'all a couple. Yeah, this happens all the time. They think they're getting over. They think that they're doing something. I see right through that stuff. And all of you that are single and stuff, don't take that stuff you see on social media to heart. All that stuff, most of that stuff is fake because real happy people don't go out their way to do that all the time. Like every month y'all going somewhere. There are people that do that all the time, but they don't post it all the time. You see what I'm saying? Like it's almost like I got to convince you of something, especially if they're always single. They're still single, but they always at this beach and that beach with this man and that man. Please understand, that's the projection they want. They're paying their way. They're paying for that. He's not paying for that unless they're a professional hoe. And professional hoes, they move a whole lot different, right? I said I was going to do a show on hoe logic. I might do that tomorrow because it's Friday. But hoes don't put their business on blast. So these women don't consider themselves hoes. But they pay men's way. They have no problem paying bills, paying for trips, paying for hotels, paying his child support, paying his rent, paying his car note. They have no problem doing that because they have control. I told you about daddy issues yesterday. This plays into that. But how much does that cost you, ladies? How much does that cost you? It's going to cost you thousands of dollars, because the time that you're with him, all that money that you're shelling out to be with him, to be with your baby daddy, bailing him out of jail. Oh my God. Paying his bail. Oh my gosh. Some of y'all doing that. Some of you are, how much does it cost to take care of a beta male? Or do you want to take this femininity course and learn how to get a man to provide and protect for you? It does exist, ladies. It exists. It exists. And there's a lot of rhetoric out there to convince you of otherwise, but I'm a witness. It exists. And a lot of women that follow my movement understand it exists. I have a track record of women who have gotten married through my movement. Their marriages have gotten stronger through my movement. They've made adjustments in their attitude in my movement. They look at relationships differently in this movement. Life-changing information. Or you can keep shelling out money to take care of men. It's on you. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast on narcissism. I may do a show tomorrow. I'll keep you posted. But anyway, I thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me on the rebroadcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell. So if I do do an impromptu show, you will get notified through YouTube. And if you follow me on Facebook, make sure you keep a lookout, because I always announce on Facebook when I go live. And follow me on Instagram. I have totally different content. Not totally different, but some of the stuff on Instagram is different content than what I put on Facebook, specifically on purpose. So follow me on Instagram. And I'm going to start trying to do Instagram shorts, short videos on Instagram, kind of test the waters with that. But just make sure you're part of that community, because it's growing. It's going to get fun. Instagram is a little bit more laid back content for me. So make sure you follow me there. And if you're interested in femininity courses, you're interested in the monthly membership, Patreon, or check out the courses, and just see what they're all about, or check out my website, see if I'm legit. Who is she? Who's she talking about? What, she sound like a fraud? No problem. Check me out. All my links are down below. Not hiding anything. Everything's here. I am what I am. You want to shoot me a question in email regarding business inquiries, do that. It has to be business oriented. And you want to do a one-on-one session with me, please don't inbox me on Facebook, because I may never see it. So, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I just may never see it. So if you want to do a one-on-one session with me, please email me at the email below. I love you all. Have a great day.